Welcome to Baker Makes It. My name is Zach Baker, and behind us is my 1972 Holiday Rambler that we are going to be putting solar panels and roof vents on in this video. The shop is all kinds of a mess right now, and we've got some very exciting developments here. We've got all new reversible roof vents. These are pretty simple ones. I didn't go crazy. I did want something that could go in or out. So we've got 3 of those, one for the front, one for the back, one for the bathroom. And then we also have these 200-watt solar panels. These are big ones. These are like 2 feet by 5 feet or something like that. And we're going to see if we can get these things on the roof. Today, it's looking like rain, but I'm going to see if we can at least frame out the openings for our vents and for our AC. So let's get to it. All right, we got all of our vents in. We've got 3 on the right here. So that one, and that one are all vents. And then this 4th one on the left is gonna be our air conditioner. Okay, we're up on the roof. After those are framed, we're just gonna start with one of these. I haven't marked any of the others yet. But what I did was I came on the inside and I drilled very small holes in each corner, and then drew some lines, drilled some bigger holes so my jigsaw blade can fit in there. And now we're gonna cut this out. All right, I've been cleaning this up with a red Scotch-Brite pad. Just trying to get some of this oxidation and overspray off of here. I think I'm going to grab the orbital sander with a Scotch-Brite on it and just clean this up a little. Then we'll get some alcohol and clean, just give it a final clean here. All right, we're nice and clean. We've got our butyl tape on here. So now we're going to take some denatured alcohol and get this cleaned up. All right, we've got all these on now. Got the butyl tape under, and then we used some Sika brand construction sealant, polyurethane construction sealant to seal all of our screws. That should work well. So we're just gonna hope the rain holds off for a few hours, and then we'll get started on these solar panels another day. Here's the inside on these. This just looks really cool. It's a little blue in here, which is interesting, with that smoked top, but that's how it opens. Just turn that knob. And then once this is wired up, we'll have in or out controls, speed, and then power. So nice and easy, but turned out really nice. And then of course there's an inside portion of this that goes up into this little groove here, and it will cut it to the right height so that it trims all this out and it looks nice. All right, roof vents are in. The next big project are the solar panels. You can see behind me, we've got 4 solar panels. These are all 200-watt panels, and these are big. They're like 2 feet by, I think, almost 5 feet long. So we're gonna get these up on the roof, and we're going to figure out where we're gonna put them. And then we gotta work on laying out our mounting bracket locations, making sure the mounting brackets are attached to the panels in the right places, and then sealing and screwing them to the roof frame. So I gotta get all these up the ladder and start laying it out. And we just gotta kind of look at the vents, the AC, that kind of stuff, and figure out where these need to go. Okay, so they're all up here, and I've had a chance to play around with where they're gonna go. It's a very tight fit, as you can see back here, between the edge and the vent, but it's just barely gonna fit, which is great. I needed to make sure I had a spot for the plumbing vent to come up, which is gonna be right in front here, in between. And then the final thing is where all the wires from these go down in. So we're going to confirm that that's all good. But I'm pretty sure I have a couple options there. So now these are the brackets that go on these things. They come with bolts to bolt on through this slot. They're not going to work with where our framing is. So I'm just going to use some 3/4 self tappers, and I'm going to self tap these on to the bottoms of these in line with our roof rafters. I'm going to go through and carefully mark and screw brackets and place each one of these exactly where it's going to go. And then what I'm going to do is drill all of our holes. And then I have to, at that point, come through with adhesive, or sealant rather, seal under the brackets, place them down, then put the screws in, and then seal the top of the screws. So the screws will be sealed along the bottom edge in between the roof and the bracket, and then also on the top where the screw head is. It's a little bit of a process, but I've done this one time before at work, and we didn't seal underneath, and we had to seal around the edge, and it's almost impossible to reach around and stick your finger in here and spread caulk. It just doesn't work very well. So we're gonna go ahead and try it this way. It'll be a few extra steps, but hopefully it'll work out. Okay, those two are good to go. You can see I've marked with Sharpie around the outlines of these, so I'll know right where to put that sealant. I will pre-drill these holes first, and then we're good to go. It's very tight fit. I left myself just enough room to be able to reseal these. That's gonna suck to scrape that. So probably if I ever had to reseal that, I would just take the solar panel off and reseal that. But we were getting pretty close to the outside there, so I didn't want to get any closer on that tape. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the back here. Probably going to scoot those forward a little and figure out which roof ribs we want to attach those to. But going to be the same process, so I'll come back when we're getting ready to do the next step. Well, I actually lied here, and I was able to use the bolts by offsetting so that the holes were in line with just one hole. Originally I was going to drill a hole in the middle so that it was strongest, but by offsetting with one, I was able to just use the bolts that came with it for all these brackets except for one. And that was due to having to move this one panel back just a few inches to avoid hitting this. Again, I was able to use existing holes there, and there, just not that one. So these are all up and marked, but the sun's going down, so I'm just going to sink a few screws in these, make sure they hit studs, and that'll hold them until I can come back up here tomorrow and get this sealed up. It's a new day, and we are back up here. Time to get these things fully sealed up. I've got one, it's the back side of this panel where the screw missed framing by like the width of a screw. So we're gonna see if there's any way we might be able to just shift the bracket enough that we could run that screw in the right spot, because we're gonna be shifting it forward. And so in doing that, the solid part of the bracket will be over the hole, and we can seal it up a little bit better. And then in order to do that, we're probably gonna have to take this whole panel off, which is fine. That'll give us a chance to seal underneath it, and then we'll put this thing back down. On the middle, we're gonna be able to use 2 screws because we can go into the plywood that's underneath here at least. So we've got just some smaller wood screws we're gonna use for that. So one by one, we'll take these up, we'll seal underneath them, and we'll fix that one bracket. The one other thing I want to figure out is where the wire is going to come in, because I want to get that entry mounted as well, and get that sealed while we have the tube open. All right, now before we get too crazy with the sealing, we're going to go ahead and put this in. This is our wire entry for on the roof here, and this has some mounting tape on the bottom, and I've cut a hole here for that, and we're going to run this wire through here, get that dropped in there so we can get that routed later. And then when we're sealing everything, we'll put a nice good coat of sealant around the outside of this as well. Okay, I've got all the screws out. We've got the solar thing stuck to the roof with some tape there. I'm realizing I should have offset that because I'm gonna have to have a plumbing stack right next to that. So that's gonna be a little tight, but I think we got it. I'm gonna use some 2x4 blocks, 2x4 blocks, just to hold this up enough to come through, clean off the metal shavings, and put a big glob of sealant right there over that hole. And then on these inside ones where I'm going to add a second screw, I'll do a glob of sealant here as well. So the second screw goes through, that seals, and then when we're done, we'll go through and cover all these up. But this will make it easy. I'll add globs under all 4 corners, pull the block, set it down, screw it, and then on to the next. The thing I really got to look out for here is that these cables are sticking out in the right direction. I had to order some extension cables and 2-to-1 connectors and things to get all these into there. We'll get to that a little bit later. I'm waiting on the right cables. Now that this is all up, I know what I need. Without further ado, we get a time lapse going here. We're gonna go ahead and get all these caulked and screwed down for good. We got them all sealed up. It's not pretty, but it's done. And we sealed up our wire inlet there. We're not gonna hook anything up right now because these things are live. If we plug these in, then the wires in the camper are going to be hot, and that would be very dangerous. So all the plugs are out, but we're going to hold off on actually connecting anything until we're ready to connect it inside. So that's it for this one. I'll show you guys the inside real quick here, and we're good to go. Quick check inside. This is the one where we missed the screw, and you can see the old hole that we missed. There is sealant coming through, and the screw is now firmly into the rafter. So we are good to go. And then inside, here's our solar input. Like I said, I wish I had offset this, but that's where it's going now. So we're gonna have a plumbing stack somewhere near here. But until this wall is framed here, I don't wanna try to figure that out right now. That's gonna be it for the roof. We've got the solar panels and we've got the roof vents all installed. The next step is going to be a diesel heater. It's time to insulate this thing, but we need to be able to warm the inside up, and we're going to put a heater in this thing anyway. So in the next video, we're going to install a diesel heater with a 5-gallon fuel cell. So follow along so you can catch that next one.